And I know that we have our next beautiful guest. So I want to just jump straight in and introduce her. She is so special. She has, I suppose, an astonishing inspiration. She's personally healed from addiction, abuse, sexual assault, and has had more #MeToo moments than she can count. She eventually unlocked the secrets to, I suppose, her own spiritual and sexual sovereignty. We talk about sovereignty quite a bit today, but she unlocked it and today enjoys the most amazing and what she calls like a magical reality that far surpasses what she ever imagined was possible. She's on a mission, and I love it, to empower and elevate others from all walks of life to heal shame and sexual trauma so they can rebirth their emotional and sexual reality, to be the authentic, which we're talking about a lot today as well, authentic expression of their deepest truths. And as a sex positive activist, she's been featured on a variety of platforms, including CNN, Fox, Bill Mayer's Politically Incorrect, Yale, Stanford, and the New York Times. I'm wishing a soulful and warm welcome, Veronica.
I am very happy to be here, Kristina. And it's good morning here in California.
Oh, yes, you're in the morning. Actually, it's quite early, isn't it, for you? I did push.
It's not that early. It's only 8 o'clock. So.
Oh, that's good. I was pushing Veronica to be on because I thought she's going to be amazing. We need somebody like her. And she kindly said yes. So, yeah, it's early-ish morning. We're in the afternoon here in the UK. And I know there's people from all over the world. We've got Australia. I think I saw New Zealand, Ireland, England, the States, Canada. I hope I haven't missed any countries out, but yeah, all over the world.
How exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Now, let's look at, and I take notes. I'm doing my little notes just to get myself focused. I want to ask so many questions, and I am going to start with, because you've got such a, I suppose, in-depth understanding of disconnection, which I think so many women have when they're single and not with somebody, you're the perfect person to ask, what are some of the common blocks to attracting the relationship of your dreams?
Well, it's kind of a long list.
Yeah.
but let's see if I can compress it for the time considerations that we're working with here. So yes. First and foremost, our blocks are internal, and they have to do with triggers, which come through traumatic things. You know, trauma is kind of like it's a loaded word, and some people don't feel like they're entitled to say, "Oh, I've had trauma," and other people just seem to talk about, "Oh, I was in traffic and I got traumatized." So let's just for a second say trauma is ubiquitous. So, but it doesn't mean that everything's traumatic. Mm-hmm. It does mean that all of us have some kind of a trauma burden. Some of us more, some of us less. So it's really important to kind of delve into your past a little bit before you can chart your future. Yeah. And this is, I think, a step that people miss because parts of them just really want to create that bold, beautiful, bright future and don't want to go back into the past. It's like that's gone. I'm not doing that anymore. And we kind of think, well, we can pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and make a decision about what the future is going to look like for us. And it just doesn't work that way because you're a very complex organism. Yeah. So if you will take the time to see the places where you might have experienced some kind of trauma or your ancestors had, because we've now found out through epigenetics that trauma travels through the gene pool out 7 generations. So probably you have a little bit of a trauma burden from the people who came before you, and maybe a lot of trauma burden, depending on what they went through. So those things are really important to go through. And then in your own personal life, look, yeah, I've had a lot of Me Too moments, but a lot of people have, especially women identified people, have had a lot of Me Too moments of one sort or another. And then you want to go have a romantic relationship with somebody. And it doesn't have to be, by the way, any gender. I've had Me Too moments in dyke bars. So if you realize that's sexual perpetrations, incursions on your space, things that make you feel unsafe romantically, can happen regardless of what your dating pool is.
Yeah.
That's really an important thing to know too, and to just get acquainted with your history and then pursue some modalities for healing that. So as a survivor, I want to strongly say that therapy is awesome. And ultimately, I think internal family systems is the best way to start integrating all your parts so that all of you is on board for the agenda. What happens oftentimes is we have disconnects inside because we've set our sights on a goal, but there are parts of ourselves that are not on board.
Yeah.
So that's a really important place to start. And then how do we work with the disconnects that we have socially with other human beings? I'm going to take a breath and let you comment or ask another question.
Yeah, no, I do. Thank you very much. Yes, because I think when we know that we want to find true love, and we have maybe had those, let's call it traumas, but whatever degree they are from the past, part of us wants it and we hate to hear it, and another part doesn't. And that's the part that doesn't, that we don't want to know. When someone's trying to push under, no, but I want it. But the part that doesn't is so frightened, it can pull us away. And actually, and so what I realized, having had my traumas as well, is that we have to acknowledge, yes, although I want to be with my soulmate, I want to find true love, which I have, but at that time, there is a part of me that needs to be looked after, healed, go through the nurturing, the understanding, the integration back in, so that me, the one that wants it, and me, that one that's pulling me away, become one, to be able to say, okay, even if I still have a bit of fear, I'm now integrated enough to go beyond the fear, all of me, to be able to attract my desire.
Yes. And also, I think some flexibility about, because your heart desires the things that really live in the pit of your being. I believe are God-given, they're your birthright, regardless of what your belief system is. I think that it's an important thing to honor and respect. And you were actually meant to have all those things. The thing that we run into problems with is when we have an expectation about what it's supposed to look like. Like sometimes that deep yearning inside is going to show up in a different package. So you may have a fantasy about, let's say, Prince Charming or Princess Charming or whatever, and they maybe look a certain way and they're a certain age. And some people get it down to hair color and things like this. And those kind of scripts are not without value. I've made lists of all the attributes that I wanted in a partner. And some of it was kind of superficial. And I'm here to tell you, you can manifest anything you want.
And I'm going to say yes to that too, because I've done exactly the same. Yes.
But there's also a saying that says, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And sometimes you weren't specific enough and you pull in, oh, wow, I didn't realize it could come. The very exact thing I wrote down showed up, but it showed up in a way I wasn't expecting. And you'll feel kind of like, what happened here? So I think it's helpful to remain flexible, because sometimes your hopes, your dreams, your deepest desires show up in packages you might not intuitively anticipate. And you can really cheat yourself if you want everything to look a certain way and you're not more curious about how it feels. And unfortunately, we, especially in Western culture, which is ubiquitous now, I'm sorry to overuse that word, but it is just everywhere because we have social media and smartphones. So it doesn't really matter now if you're in Papua New Guinea, you still got a smartphone.
Yeah.
And so that the ideology that Western culture promulgates is really oriented towards what things look like. So whether it's a house, a car, a mate, your children, your pets, you know, there's so much focus on the visual. And I'm not really talking about lookism here, but some pretty package that has no substance to it.
Yeah.
So I really invite your viewers today to be thinking about how you want to feel, because the feelings are where the manifestation takes place anyway.
Yeah.
And when you're actually thinking about how would it feel like if I'm with my true love, what does it feel like?
Yes. And I'm going to pick up on something you said earlier, just because I believe in it so wholeheartedly. And again, everyone's going to say, oh my God, here she goes again, but I have to say it. When we truly have that desire, like you said, it's a desire, it's from within us. It is like it's God-given or higher self-given, however you want to call it, but it's a truth, then it is meant to be. And that's something that I held on to, that got me to be able to handle my trauma, come out of my trauma, do what I needed to do to integrate myself from trauma to fulfill my desire, which was deep, to be with my soulmate, soul connection mate. And that is something I'd like everyone to just take a note of, because if you have that desire, don't let it go. You don't need to let it go. It is the truth. It is meant to be. And now is the journey to find your way. We each find our way, however we find it, to fulfill on that truth. So I just wanted to reiterate that back. So it was lovely to hear you say that. And I also like the fact that we do, because I'm a bit of a control freak. So I was like, I know what I want. It's got to be like this, got to be like that, got to be like the other. And yes, I have created everything I've wanted. But I also realized now that I'm with my soulmate, I did let go. I cannot believe I'm even saying this, but I got to a point where I could say to myself, allow it to happen, however it happens. Allow him to be whoever he is. I'm thinking, what? Am I saying this? But actually what happens is that person that is connected to you, because it is a feeling, vibrational, this is meant to be thing, can give you, or you will see things in them you didn't expect. Like, oh my goodness, he does that. I never put that down on my list, but I love it. Oh, well, that was a beautiful surprise, because there's that openness to allow something even better to come our way.
And another way of saying is letting go. So I think when it comes to manifesting things, you do creative visualization. And I'm going to give you a ritual at the end here, which you can use creative visualization into. So that's great. And I've made my written things down on a piece of paper, but then I put it away.
Yes.
And the reason I put it away is because I don't want to obsess about my self-will or trying to make it happen. It's like I've made an invitation to the universe to help me manifest the things I want, and then I let it go.
Yeah.
And that's a really important piece of manifesting your hopes and dreams, is exactly what you're talking about, detaching from your self-will of trying to make it happen.
Yes. I think that's a really key word, the detachment. It's there, you know what you desire, detach, and something can come in. Something that really intrigued me when you and I first spoke is this link between sex and spirit, and how they can come together to enable us to sort of radiate that inner confidence and become truly empowered to be with that, say, ideal person. in this brief moment of time together, can you explain that link between sex and spirit?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Here we go.
As quickly and succinctly as I can. But first of all, I just want to say there's like 2 layers to this concept.
Yeah.
And one is perhaps a little more familiar to people, which is that your relationship is actually a piece of spiritual homework. So it's, if you think about the movies that we watch, you know, the rom-coms where then they go off into the sunset and live happily ever after, that's not actually how life works. And I want to say that this is not landing. I don't want this to land in the box of, well, you know, you have to settle. You absolutely do not have to settle. You are entitled to all of your hopes and dreams and your fantasies of your best life. In that context, I want you to know that there's going to be challenges. This is what life is about.
Yes.
And let's say it's an absolutely perfect life. There is still the fact that if you lived 50, 60, 70 years with your beloved, one of you is probably going to die before the other one. There's going to be aging involved. And that is a challenge. Yeah. So you want to build in yourself a resiliency and a curiosity about life's challenges and not get deflated or discouraged by that. I like to approach that as there is a gift in there that's going to blow your mind.
I love that. Love it.
Yeah. And that's why, just exactly what you're talking about, you don't want to have an idea, oh, it doesn't look the way it's supposed to look. Well, thank God it doesn't look the way it's supposed to look, because now you're really going to experience the gifts that are far beyond what you had put on your sheet of paper or visualized in your head. And yet it's going to touch into that deepest ache in you in ways that are going to fulfill you beyond your wildest dreams. So that's one. Now, here's the other one that maybe is a little more difficult because it's kind of counterculture, but it's not counterhuman. It's been with us for thousands of years, and we lost track of it when monotheism took over the planet. And so all of a sudden, asexuality became the spiritual zenith. And the fact of the matter is that sexuality was always seen as a doorway to the divine by the ancients. You can go to India, the Indian temples, their sacred temples, the walls are just covered with sex. But we started separating those, and sex is over here and spirituality is over here. And actually, that's not true. Sex can actually help you achieve an altered state like meditation can, which means if you treat it like a prayer, you actually can go into a place where you're communing with the divine. And I like to think of this as my sacred trinity. It's me, my beloved, and the divine that merge when we make love.
Yes.
And it opens up doors inside you, not unlike psychedelics do, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So that your perceptions and your capacities are expanded. So that's another way, and that's very brief, just touching upon that. We can't go into how to actually get there, but
no, we'll have to do another talk about that. But no, that's a beautiful way of describing it, because I really wanted to get that across, because I just was fascinated when we spoke together, and I wanted to have that integration. So because it's less frightening as well, because sometimes we think, oh, sex, and we're going to, that's intimate, and when will I be ready? Of course, you've got to do it when we're ready, but there's with the right person, there's a beautiful integration between the two, and it is more natural. And we don't do it if we don't want to. It just comes in a natural way. I'm wondering if, I'm just thinking what some nitty gritty.
That was a big topic, wasn't it?
It's a big topic. And I'm just
it's
thinking,
almost impossible to segue into the next topic with that one.
It is. And I'm just thinking, which way should I go? Which way should I go? I tell you what I'm going to do. I think, and it's happening completely differently on this show, and I'm liking it. I'm going to go into your unique free gift. And then if we've got time, we're going to come back to something. Now,
I think your intuition is guiding you.
Yes.
Because what I want to say, the free gift is called my Exquisite Partnership Formula. It's a gorgeous 10,000 word ebook. And I realize not everybody has time to read 10,000 words. You don't have to. You can just skip to the headings that will teach you some really vital keys to relationship bliss. So one of the things is that I describe the perfect time out. Okay. And people think we took a time out. No, you didn't. Because you absolutely have to make a commitment to come back and pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
And that's the part where people start eroding trust. And it's like, you're avoiding the topic. No, you're not. You want to just get your system calmed down so that you can actually bring self to it and not all these parts that are angry and triggered. There's also a beautiful game that my beloved and I co-created called Show Me Your Movie. And in this game, you're basically taking turns sharing your perspective, but you're doing it in the context of there is no absolute reality. And I'm going to prove it to you. If you watch football or soccer, and around the world, we just call it football, regardless of which one of those you're looking at, you don't actually know what happened with the play. The referees are in various different parts of the field. But the cameras then also have to be at different angles to come back and do the slow motion playback to tell you exactly what happened if there was a foul or you're out of bounds. Well, life is like that. Relationships like there's two people, there's no cameras usually, and you don't have playback. So people get attached to, I know what you said.
Yeah.
No, you don't actually. You heard what you heard. And then you think you know what you said, but you might have said something different. So if we could just hold each other in this beautiful container of we don't actually know what we said to each other, but I want to hear what you think I said, what you think you said, because what matters is not what happened, but how you feel about it. And so in this game, we get to put ourselves in each other's shoes, just like you're at the movies and you're just getting into the character and going, oh my God, I get why you were so upset. I get why you were scared. I get it now. And then it's your turn. Your partner gets to give you that gift too, of really being validated and seen. Beautiful. And I don't stop there. I offer my Exquisite Partnership Formula, which is a 5-step process for having a very solid no in a sexual context with your partner that leads to more connection and more romance. Now that's really rare. Almost nobody knows how to do this. So what I work with couples, lots of married couples, and they are having like non-consensual sex with each other because they don't want to hurt each other's feelings.
Yeah.
And this is to really help you take your sex life to the next level where you can have these beautiful sexual experiences, but it only takes place if you got a good no. You need a no. If you don't have a no with your partner who you love and adore and would do anything for, then the yes get watered down and the sensations get tamped down. And I'm all about helping people have amazing sex.
And with this, the Exquisite Partnership Formula, so many women here are single and want to find their partner, can it help them with themselves? Can it help them on their journey?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things is that, like the Exquisite Partnership Formula, yes, I designed it for a no during sex. Right in the middle of sex is the gnarliest part for people. They're like, oh, I can't say no. It'll ruin the mood. And so I devised a way not to ruin the mood. Yeah. Okay, actually, it's going to accentuate the mood, make it even better. But you can actually, I used this one time when I was helping facilitate a meeting between a landlord and his tenants. I used the exquisite partnership program. It wasn't a sexual scenario at all, but they were having disagreements, and I was just helping people to navigate feeling states, like really understanding each other's feelings and still being able to assert their truth.
Yeah.
And you can use this with your children, your boss, your so what I want to say, you want to help prepare yourself for a relationship, you gotta work on your communication and relating skills.
Yeah.
You gotta be committed to fine tuning those, because you don't just want to meet the perfect person. You want to become the perfect person.
That's so true. Becoming. Yeah. And this is about becoming and being truly empowered in ourselves to be able to then attract in the right person for us.
Absolutely. And there's people in your life are going to upset you. You can use the timeouts with your mother, your employer. And I strongly encourage you to learn these tools before you get into your relationship.
Yeah.
So that you will become the evolved person. You will change your vibration, and you will attract different kinds of people to you.
Oh, amazing. And what we're doing, Veronica, is we have my beautiful team, Sarah and Mandy, who are supporting me, have created a lovely landing page. So there's a picture of you, there's information about you, there's information about your gift, and there's a lovely big button, so it's really clear, that says the exquisite partnership formula, and people can download it immediately after the show, so that instead of trying to grapple grabbing links, what we decided, put it on this page. We'll send an email out, it'll go out around 45 minutes, an hour when the show's finished, and everyone can just go straight to the page and grab everything they want in one go. So it makes it really easy.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Now, I'm not going to let you go yet.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to ask, this is what I'm going to ask you. A question that comes up a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it as well. How can we know if he's the right one?
Yes. Well, that is the big question when you start a new relationship.
Yeah.
And there's so many things swirling around in your mind about, maybe he doesn't do or look the way you thought he would, or she would, or they would, but you're still feeling like this gravitational pull.
Yeah.
And here's what can become difficult, at least in my experience. Sometimes the gravitational pull is not to your perfect partner. It's actually to somebody who's got the same kind of dysfunctions you have. Yeah. So you can be attracted to somebody who's codependent. Or if you're codependent, you might pull in a narcissist. Or if you're a narcissist, you pull in a codependent. Whatever dominant part you have it's out of balance.
Yes.
And I want to just stress here, is in internal family systems, you don't actually label people as one thing or another. We have parts. Yeah. So it's not that you are judging this person, but you see what the dominant part is that comes out, especially if there's any kind of stress. Yeah. And you get some sense of how that interacts with your dominant part that comes out. Now, in my case, sometimes I'm more likely to pull in somebody who's narcissistic, because I tend to be a codependent who wants to fawn and kind of people please. But I have the other side too. I've had the narcissist who needed somebody to, give me supply. So to really get to know yourself and those patterns that you have that sabotaged you in the past, so that if you pull somebody in who's got all those red flags, you have a choice to make. Are they willing to work on some of those things? Are they aware that they have those parts? Or are they completely blind to it? Because if they're completely blind to it and you see it, you got quite a journey ahead of you. Yeah. But then there's also the pull that you have with the person who is romantically and sexually really matched for you. And the better you get to know yourself, the better you'll be able to, the codependency and narcissistic traits that you may have inside you, they're kind of have an addictive quality to them.
Yeah.
But the perfect love that's going to feed your soul and your heart is really elevating and uplifting. So you want to be able to start paying attention to the energies inside you. What is getting activated here? Is it a beautiful, soulful longing, or is it a obsessive, codependent need? And that will help you. So instead of looking at the exteriors, and believe me, with my clients, I do help them look at exteriors, like, oh, that person just got a DUI. Sorry, that DUI is a red flag. Oh, somebody put a restraining order on them. That's a red flag too.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to look at your red flags, and you'll narrow the playing field, as it were, and you'll have this pool of people that you're choosing from, and that's where it starts to get much more nuanced, because the journey becomes not so much what's with them, but how do I interact with them? Am I getting activated in my addictive patterns, or am I finding my soul expanded? And both of those can happen in the same relationship. So, if that's true, how much of it's addictive, how much of it's elevating and expanding? Yeah. And how can you start to, like maybe work with your own therapist on those parts of you that buy in to the more dysfunctional patterns. Yeah. And I believe that if you're with somebody who wants to grow with you, as you grow right before their very eyes and stop accepting certain dysfunctional behaviors, they're going to grow too. But if they don't, they will disappear. You don't even have to get rid of people. They just go away, because there's nothing in it for them.
And I think what's so lovely about what you've said as well is it is about coming back to us and our feelings and trusting those feelings and allowing them, and maybe sort of sense checking. We don't have to write people off immediately, but sense check that, does this work for me, where the majority of the time I know we're going in the same direction and I feel better and more, as you say, elevated, than trying to fight fires, or I don't know how they're going to be in the next moment.
Yeah. And another thing I want to encourage people to do is, be curious enough to see if this relationship is a stepping stone to the next one.
Yeah.
So, I have married couples who've been together for 10, 20 years come to me and ask me, is there any hope for us to stay together? And I go, well, I don't know. That's not actually my objective. My objective is to help you refine your souls. Yes. And you will naturally grow together or apart. And so you don't need to worry about that. Just keep working on your spiritual path, and it's going to become clear to you. And
beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. And then we have to go back to that thing about, where you were saying letting go. It's so much about surrendering, trusting your relationship with the divine. Yeah. You've put your desires, your heart's desire out there. You're doing everything you can to make yourself the person that you want to meet.
Yes.
And to become a better version of you. And then trust that that's going to happen. And be curious when something shows up that looks a little bit different. If there aren't serious red flags involved, I would say try it out for a while. Yeah. And maybe you're going to get an insight about yourself, and it'll be another opportunity for you to refine you. And then that person may disappear. But you, I like to think of it as graduating. Okay, if there is a challenging situation or person in front of you, get the lesson so you get to graduate to the next level.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, because it is all about us growing. And as we said at the beginning, which I'll come right back to, is following that desire. And if that is what you want, your soulmate, then it's meant to be. So do the growing, learn the lessons to allow yourself to experience the desire that you want.
Totally.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely lovely to have you, and I can't wait to speak to you again.
Well, same here.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Oh, you as well, Kristina. Thank you. This was a joy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.